Okay, so where are we going to go now? I think we should just go for this forum. We just need to do it. We need to talk about it.
Yeah, sure.
Nige, you can go first.
Thanks. Well, yeah, obviously I've been like, it's been a manic day. So I've literally rushed home from work, quickly seeing what I could see from the forum, and mainly picked out obviously what Levy said about his three most memorable moments about being chairman, and it was the Champions League final, the building the stadium, and the amazing players that we've signed or had. Not one mention of the one cup that we've won in the 25 years or whatever that he's been in charge. Yeah, crazy. I get that it might not be the first choice. I'd imagine that, building a magnificent stadium that he's done would be up there, but surely winning a cup, that's the whole point of having a club, isn't it? Is to win stuff. So the fact that wasn't even in his top three was stunning, and kind of summed Levy up. Yeah, it's kind of summed Levy up, didn't it? Because Champions League final, what did that do? That made Levy like 100 million. Building a new stadium, just gonna make Levy billions when he sells. And all the players, the amazing players that we've had, well, Kane, Bell, that he got 100 million each for, it's all money. His biggest achievements have all been making money for himself. But, it is what it is.
Look, why didn't he say about the Carling Cup? That should be number one, because that's the only trophy he's won. Why didn't he put that? Obviously, we know why, because he's all about the money, but it's astonishing, isn't it? Absolutely astonishing how we wouldn't put that as number one.
I get it's a little bit embarrassing, that he'd be celebrating one League Cup in 25 years. It may come across as like, well, is that it? But still, it's the biggest achievement we've had. We've won a trophy.
Yeah, that's what Matty thinks. Levy.
I think that's kind of the low light of the whole thing, to be honest. I mean, that's such a crappy answer. That's such a horrible answer.
About the thick skin? He was going on about the thick skin as well, that he can take it all from the fans and the people.
Yeah.
Because he's got the thick skin. So what a strange comment. Why is he saying that? I wonder what the question was for him to say that in the forum.
The forum is just, I never even took it seriously, to be honest. You kind of know the whole thing's a joke with just who they're inviting. So it's just to begin with. I never had any hopes.
PR exercise, isn't it? That's what they say, Arian. PR exercise. A PR exercise. Is that right?
Obviously, really. But again, I really don't even particularly care about anything Levy's saying anymore, because I've learned pretty quickly not to listen to anything he says to begin with. For me, kind of the only answers I even remotely cared about was what Ange was saying, and I think the biggest point of discussion from his answer was kind of the thing we've been talking about pragmatism, where he was like, yeah, but we're gonna play the Tottenham way. And for me, that's a brilliant answer.
Arian, sorry to interrupt you. So what really got your blood boiling earlier in the chat? We were all talking in the chat. What really?
For me, the thing that got my blood boiling earlier yesterday was this idea that Ange is in on the PR thing with Levy. I don't get that. I don't think there's any evidence of that. I don't think he's done anything that would suggest that. The only reason people think that is because he's not going to have another blowout like Conte, which the only reason Conte did that was for self-preservation. No manager in their right mind is going to just go out and start blasting at the chairman, especially right now. There's really no need. I understand why we wanted as fans, but there's really no need from Ange's perspective to do that, even if he hated Levy. So the idea that that's because of that now Ange is just this PR puppet is ridiculous. I just think it's ridiculous. That's the thing that got me going.
So why do you think that a lot of fans, I can't name numbers, but what I'm seeing on social media have been up in rage about these comments from Ange and from Levy? Why are they feeling that way, Arian?
I don't necessarily know for Ange, because I mean, for Levy, it's obvious because his Levy's answers were crap. I don't like him either. I just don't particularly care for anything he has to say. So I'm not gonna get upset about it because I don't care, not because I don't like the answer.
Do you understand why fans are really angry?
I do, because I understand why anyone's mad at Levy. I mean, and he's giving you more ammunition by the day, so I understand people are upset about it. As for Ange, though, I really don't, because I get why it is, because people are thinking that you need to be pragmatic and that he doesn't have a winners mentality, but I don't think he's exercised that he doesn't have a winners mentality at all. I think he's exercised the very opposite. People yesterday in the chat, they brought up the comments about the North London derby, for example, and they said he doesn't know how important the derby is, which not only is that not what he said was actually very very good, where it's like against Tottenham, typical Tottenham mentality. We should not be just trying hard against Arsenal. We should be trying to win every single game. What kind of a season is it if we end up finishing 9th and then beating Arsenal at home? Nothing, right? Wouldn't it be better to play, proper, good, high quality, trying our absolute best every single game? Or would you rather save all that energy for one game so we can get one up on our rivals? Obviously, everybody wants the former, where we're winning every single game. And that's all Ange was saying. And they bring up this comment, and they say he doesn't understand us. He needs to be pragmatic. No, he has his own principles, and his principles are: I want to play a high quality style of football, an exciting style of football, an intense style of football, and I want to play it every single game against every single opposition I face. And that's all he said. So stuff like that, for me, when people get on his case about not being a winner, it's weird for me. And then they bring up the PR thing. Oh, he's just Levy's PR puppet. I don't agree at all. I don't think he said anything that would suggest that. And I think the people criticizing him for like the North London derby comment kind of goes against that anyway. Why would Levy's PR puppet come out and say something that Levy would probably guess would upset the fans? I don't think he'd ever do that. It just doesn't make sense in my head. It's just people who are already upset. Valid. They're upset for valid reasons. They're upset at the club because of the way things are going. So that's valid, but they're misdirecting the rage at the wrong thing. And that gets on my nerves, because why, you're pointing your gun at Ange when he's not the one at fault. If you want to be mad at Levy all you want, but don't take it out on somebody who's not here against you. I think Ange is one of the only things in this club right now that's giving us something to be positive about. So don't take it out on him. That's kind of what ends up getting on my nerves.
Listen, Arian, Ange is not helping himself. He's not helping himself with how he's speaking out to the press. He's not. People are not going to get wound up for no reason. There is something there, and like you're kind of dismissing it, Arian. I've got to be honest.
Like what?
You're dismissing it. You're playing it all down. You're like making excuses for him.
I'm not making excuses.
For him, you are. You're saying, "Oh, no, he's okay. Yeah, it's okay. He doesn't mean it. He's on our side."
I didn't say he doesn't mean it. I'm saying people are misinterpreting what he's saying, and it seems like they're doing it because they're misdirecting the rage. I'm saying what he said against Arsenal.
I think he's saying stupid things.
Like, what is he saying that's stupid?
People are not going to get wound up for no reason. He needs to be.
Of course they will.
He needs to be careful what he says, because that North London derby comment, he could have dealt with that so much better. I think, Nige, you can kind of explain that.
I think I get what Arian's saying. I think Ange is meaning well by what he's saying. I just think he's kind of missing the bigger picture. I get it. Yes, absolutely. Every single game should be important. And we shouldn't just be looking at the Arsenal game and being like, well, just take this game important, forget about the rest. But I think maybe he could have come across it a little differently and said, I understand how big the game is for the fans, and we're going to do everything we can to win. He didn't need to go on about the rest of the season. Everyone knows that every game's important. So I think he kind of, whereas I get what he says and I get what he means, he's kind of almost like dismissing it. It's like, no, every game's important. Forget this game. But no, you can't just forget this. This is the North London derby.
You have to remember the question he was asked. The question he was asked directly. And the question was,
what was he asked?
The question was, how are you preparing for this game differently than any other game? And he said, I'm not preparing for this game any differently. I'm preparing for this game the way I'm preparing for any other game, because I want to win every game. That's why he's answering that way. He's not saying, oh, this game is just like any other game. The question directly was, are you preparing any differently? And the right answer for any serious coach is, no, I'm not preparing differently for the Arsenal game than I would for the Man City game, or for the Liverpool game, or for the United game, or for the Brighton game.
Well,
I'm preparing
then I
the same
totally
because
disagree.
I want to win.
Absolutely 100% disagree, then, because you should be preparing differently for different games. Look at Arteta against Spurs. A couple of players out. He didn't sleep at night because he had to change. He had to change his tactics.
He didn't change his tactics. He's playing the same way in every single other game.
No, he didn't. He changed his tactics for Spurs, just like he did against City. Yeah, he did.
No, he didn't.
They play a different way
How
at
would he
home
change
than
his
they do
tactics
away.
against City when he played the same way against City that he played against us? That doesn't make any sense.
Well, they didn't. Well, they had to play the same way against City because they're down 10 men.
So
So
they played this. They played the same way when they weren't down at 10 men. They parked the bus the whole. They parked the bus the whole game. The entire game. They created like point something 9 point something.
but then we're going into stats again, aren't we? And like
No,
XG.
well, yeah, because that's
I
how. Okay,
watch
look, I can either
I
illustrate the
watch
game for you
football
by
with my
bringing up clips
eyes.
on my hand, or I can bring
I
up
watch-
stats. 'Cause
But I watch football with my eyes, and when I see actually Arsenal playing this way or Spurs are
Yeah.
playing this way, I
Yeah.
just think, getting back to Ange's comments, you play differently for different teams. You don't just play, and this is my one frustration with Ange. It is, we are going to play this way. This is the way we are playing. But against different teams, you have to change tactics slightly for different teams. You cannot just play the same way all the time.
He's not. Look, again, I think what's happening here is it's either being done on purpose or it's being done on accident. I don't know what, but people are misconstruing the meaning of very simple words. So when you say the prepare the same, I've just said, not even 15 minutes ago, that Ange is the most tactically flexible coach we've had in the last 5 years. So I'm not saying, in my opinion. So when I say he's preparing the same for every single game, I'm not saying he's doing the exact same preparation drills. He's doing the exact same pregame routine. He's doing the exact same training sessions. I'm saying he's going into the game. He's going into the training. He's going into the preparation with the exact same mindset. And that mindset doesn't change for Liverpool. It doesn't change for Arsenal. It doesn't change for Nottingham Forest. The mindset is I want to win every single game. So when somebody comes and asks him, hey, Ange, how are you preparing for this game differently? He's not going to say, oh, we're taking it much more seriously, because that's the wrong answer. I don't want to hear that answer as a fan. I want to hear, look, we're going to win this game the same way we're going to win every other game. Because that's what a winning mentality is. You said that we're missing the bigger picture. You're missing the bigger picture. The bigger picture is the whole season. The bigger picture is how we're going to prepare for every single game. When he's saying, he's expanding your horizon. He's saying, look, this game is important, but every game is important. This game is no more important than any other game in the grand scheme of a season.
Of course, absolutely. But that's obvious. You don't need to be a rocket scientist.
But that's his answer. You don't need to be a rocket scientist. And that's why you also don't need to be Shakespeare and analyze everything he's saying like it's coming out of a book.
No, exactly. But at the same time, I just think, like I said, he could have just said, I realize how important this game is for the Spurs fans. And because he didn't say that and he just said this is the same as every other game, then that got on to the Spurs fans' backs. And I think that's probably why he got the reaction he did. Which is
right, but
again, much the same as obviously the question that was just brought up with regards to what he said in the fans forum when he was asked the question, is there going to be a time you're going to be more pragmatic? Are you going to change slightly for different games? And he's like, no, it's the way I play. This is the way we're going to do it. It's the Spurs. Yeah. It's the Spurs way. For me, I've been a Spurs fan over 40 years. Playing a high line and being so open at the back, it's not the Spurs way. Playing good football is the Spurs way.
Yeah.
But there's a difference. And every manager has to be a little pragmatic at times to get result. At the end of the day, it's a results business. And you can't just go out constantly saying, I'm just going to play this way wherever we play.
It is a results business.
And if we lose, we lose.
It is a results business.
Sometimes you just got to tweak it a little bit. And I agree, he has tweaked it a bit. There has been times when he's changed it. I just want to see it a little bit more. And sometimes when he says things, I just think where he's so bullish, and don't get me wrong, I like the fact that he's bullish and, but sometimes it does wind the fans up the wrong way slightly, I think.
But I think and Ange himself says that he's not going to tell anybody to feel a certain way. But when fans react to like the comment about Arsenal, I really don't think that's on. Could he have said something much more simple-minded? Yes. But when people are misconstruing what he's saying, when he's obviously not trying to undermine the importance of North London Derby, that's like that you're just it's a weird thing to get upset about. Does that make sense? It's something that like you're focused of all the things that there is to be upset about at Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, to be upset at something Ange said about trying to expand your horizon and focusing on the whole season because he could have just said that the game is important is weird. It's a weird way to focus your energy. So, and especially when he didn't mean anything.
No, it's weird for the most part, but not when it's Arsenal. This is what people don't get. This game for most fans is massive. Especially people.
He knows that.
I don't live around London. I haven't got many Arsenal friends, but a lot of the people that go to games every week, Their brothers are Arsenal fans. Their cousins are Arsenal fans.
I
This
get
is
it.
massive in the family. And, just to dismiss it as it's just like any other game, it's just a little bit off for me. But, listen, hey, it's all about results. And if he's getting results, I'm happy.
And
Guys, yeah, great debate. Look, there's so much we can say about all of this, Arian, and I don't think we've even touched the surface.
no,
And I don't even think we have the time as well
no, I don't think we do.
to go over it all. But what I will say, and I will leave it on this Ange comment and what he said, and I know you guys have already said it, that he says that we're going to continue to play the Spurs way and we're not going to change.
Yeah.
It is ridiculous, man. You have to adjust. I'm sorry, man. You cannot play the same way in every single match. If you want to win trophies, if you want to challenge for titles, you need to be more flexible. And that's my opinion. I'm not saying, Arian, to completely change the system. I'm talking about just use a bit of common sense in certain matches, tactical nous. I just don't see Ange having that. And the results since last season and coming into this season just evidences it. You've got to throw on top of the poor transfer window as well. That hasn't helped Ange. But Ange has got a lot to prove. And for me, it's not looking good.
And look, like you said, it's a results business, and if we just wait until we've had enough time to get a consistent stream of results so we can see where we're at, we'll know. But I don't think 5 games is a big enough sample size for either of us. And we come back,
Not just
10,
this season,
10, 15 games later.
Arian, it's last season as well.
I think the biggest thing that with that comparison is I hate when I hear this sense, like the sentence that I think pisses me off the most when it comes to discourse about Ange is when people say since the first 10 games of last season, as if that's a good place to start. Since the first 10 games of last season is a ridiculous place to start your sample, because it's the place where our squad is the weakest. So you're taking the places where our squad is the worst and most disjointed and weakest and hardest hit by suspensions and injuries and saying, look, Ange is not doing good when the squad is ravaged. He must be a horrible manager. No, it's a bad place to start. Were we poor in the back end of last season, even though we had a fully fit, well, not fully fit, but a squad that was mostly back. Udogie wasn't back, and obviously a lot of players had just come back from injury. And were the results pretty poor even when we had sort of a steady stream of players? Yes. Are the results this season in the start not ideal? Are they poor? Yes. But the reasons for this season, I don't think have been down to bad performances. I think you said as well, Nige. We've played well this season, and if we just wait and we keep having the games going this season, because I'm a believer that our performances will end up yielding consistent results over time, because that's what consistency brings you. In the short term, you look at any 3, 4, 5, 6 game span, the results might be up and down. But if you look at it over the course of the whole season,
Arian, sorry to interrupt you. What's your opinion on the transfer window?
I think the biggest failure was not getting a proper winger. I think it's just disappointing. I think obviously Pedro Neto was going to be our guy and ended up not happening, and it's disappointing. It wasn't an idea. It was a very average window. I don't think.
And do you think we're going to fall short because of that transfer window?
We might. We could. It wouldn't surprise me if that's the reason. It wouldn't. I think we started off the window actually very well. I was very happy with Archie Gray. I think we did a lot of good things early, but we didn't finish strong like we should have. And that's that. It might bite us in the back if we're lucky. It won't, but it probably will, especially because especially if we go deep into many competitions and we end up not having the depth. If we go into like the semifinals in 3 different cups, where we might fall short because we don't have the squad depth, or we might start getting injuries because we don't have the depth, and it sucks that might happen. But we'll have to wait and see. But it wouldn't surprise me if that happened. It wouldn't surprise me if the transfer window is kind of the reason that we're the architect of our own downfall.
And for me, it was a failure. I think Nige agrees with me, definitely. Mad Dog in the chat, he said it was a transfer window that screamed, I don't want to compete. Would you agree with all of us?
I don't think I'd be as harsh, but I wouldn't necessarily disagree, yeah.
The frustration
I like some
for
of the
me
players
is
we bought.
The frustration for me is that we spent, and listen, when we bought Gray, I was like, he's a good player, but we spent 40 million on a player that sits on the bench. He hasn't got any minutes. He's got next to no minutes. And yes, he'll probably start against Karabakh, but where's he going to play? Right back again? I want to see him in number 6. That's his position, apparently. So
I mean,
I
maybe
dunno.
we'll be forced to see him with Bentancur getting a ban and Basuma
Maybe.
playing so much. So maybe we'll see.
Yeah, maybe.
We will see.
Guys, listen, good chat, man. I mean, in a nutshell, the fan forum was a shit show.
Yeah.
When an
I don't
absolute
think
shit
anybody
show.
disagrees with
It
that.
hasn't helped anything. We already have our thoughts that this season's not going to go well anyway. We all have our worries about Ange, the players that we have. It's just another thing on top of stuff that we just didn't need. We didn't need to hear that from last night. It was just a load of rubbish. And it really, really not upset me, but really wound me up. And not just me, many fans, many Spurs fans. And it just angers me. And I don't know what's going to happen in the end. Ange speaking out, Levy speaking out, hasn't helped them at all. And it's just embarrassing. It's really embarrassing what I've heard from last night. I've got to be honest. Now, guys, I'm sure we can, debate about Ange and Levy a bit more in the future on future streams, and we will keep coming back to it. So let's just end it off on the Carabao game and the Man United game quickly. I need to jump off at 9:25.
10 minutes, rapid fire.
5 minutes on Carabao, 5 minutes on Man U. I know it's tight, guys,
Okay.
but we can do it.
I can speed it up.
So the question I have about the Carabao game,
Go on.
I have a question. Put it up on the screen. Let me get it up. Right. And whoever goes first, do you guys pick?
Go ahead.
I think we'll probably play the same side as we did against Coventry.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. I'd probably do the same because, like Ange said, he wants to build sharpness for all those players, and we got the result against Coventry. And also, even if we don't get a result against Carabao,